All right, so get ready because we're going deep on this one. The Sons of El Rey.
Yeah, this one is really
A
something.
real page turner this book is.
Yeah.
It's got like family drama mystery, and it's all set in this world of like lucha libre wrestling.
Yeah, the whole lucha libre thing really drew me into, and the way the story's told from these different points of view, across generations.
Oh, really?
We got Ernesto, the grandfather. He was
Yeah.
like this legendary luchador back in Mexico.
Right.
And then his wife, Elena, their son, Freddie, and then finally their grandson, Julian. It's
Right.
like, you're looking through this family photo album, and each picture tells a different piece.
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So, okay, lucha libre.
Yeah.
I mean, I always thought it was super interesting, but this book, like, I don't know, it just takes it to another level.
It does.
It's not just the sport,
Yeah.
you know? It's like, it's a part of who they are.
Right.
Like their identity.
Oh.
And the way Espinoza writes about it, like
Yeah.
the costumes, the masks, the moves, you can like practically hear the crowd and like feel the sawdust.
Totally. The descriptions are so vivid. It's like you're right there in the ring with them.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also, it's not just about the spectacle.
Right.
Remember that part where
Yeah.
Ernesto becomes kind of a local celebrity
Yeah.
in LA through those Taco Macho commercials?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's such a great way to show how like lucha libre like bleeds into their everyday lives,
Totally. Like it's not just confined to the ring.
Yeah.
It's like a part of their reality.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've got the whole lucha libre thing going on, but then there's all this family drama too.
Oh, yeah. Buckets of it.
Yeah, things get
Complicated.
complicated. Let's just say that
Yeah.
strained relationships between fathers and sons, unspoken expectations, clashes over tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Julian, the grandson, he's dealing with this thing called traumaphobia.
Right.
It's like a fear of trauma.
Yeah.
And it really clashes with like this whole family legacy that's built on, physicality and all that.
It's like this constant tension, between like what he's going through and like what's expected of him.
Yeah.
And Espinoza uses those contrasts so well to explore these deeper themes.
Definitely.
Like you think about Freddie the father,
Yeah.
he's stuck in the middle
Right.
between his dad's legacy and his son's struggles.
Right.
And then you get the sense that he's carrying around his own baggage too.
Totally.
Remember that part about him having to take care of his younger sister after their mom died?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It just adds this whole other layer to his character.
It does. It makes you think about all the things he's had to deal with,
Exactly.
all the sacrifices he's made.
The stuff he doesn't talk about.
Yeah. Speaking of things that aren't talked about,
Oh, boy.
this book is full of secrets.
Secrets galore.
There's this whole mystery around Ernesto's relationship with his friend, also named Julian,
Right.
and how it affects their family,
Yeah.
like the ripple.
Yeah, the ripple effects.
And the way Espinoza reveals those secrets, like little by little, through photographs,
Yeah.
whispered conversations.
It keeps you guessing.
It does. You're always wondering what's going on beneath the surface.
What's the truth behind the masks they all wear?
Exactly. Like what really happened to Ernesto's friend Julian?
Right.
Why did he disappear?
And how does it all tie back to the family?
Yeah, it's like this puzzle box.
Totally.
And you just want to keep shaking it until all the pieces fall out.
You want to know the whole story.
Yeah, and it makes you realize that memory is kind of like a puzzle box too.
Oh, how so?
We all have our own versions of the past, right?
We do.
Our own interpretations of what happened.
Uh-huh. And sometimes those versions clash.
They do.
Yeah,
And that's where things get really interesting.
they do.
You know what else is interesting?
What's that?
The families moved from Mexico to East LA.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just like a change of scenery,
Right. It's a whole new world.
It's about adapting to a new culture.
Absolutely.
New challenges,
Right.
figuring out where they belong.
There's that really powerful scene
Yeah.
where young Julian meets these Nicaraguan refugees,
Uh-huh.
like right after his family arrives in LA.
Okay.
And it forces him and us as readers to think about empathy.
Right.
You know what it means to be an outsider.
Yeah.
Our responsibility to others.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And then we jump to the present day
Yeah.
and we see Julian as an adult.
Uh-huh. Still dealing with the echoes of his family's past.
Yeah, he's struggling financially. He's trying to figure out relationships.
Right.
And like just find his place in the world.
Yeah. Trying to figure out who he is.
Yeah, and I was really intrigued by his involvement with this guy named Tim.
Oh, yeah, Tim.
The work they do, it's like,
A little shady.
yeah, let's just say it raises some ethical questions.
Definitely.
It does. It makes you think about what you would do in that situation.
For sure.
And then there's like this hint of a rekindled romance with Philip.
Oh, yeah. His old flame.
his former love.
It makes you wonder if he can escape his past and, like, build a new future for himself.
That's a good question.
Right.
So many questions.
I know.
I don't want to give too much away, but
It's a book you just got to experience for yourself.
I think people should just read it.
You really should.
It's so good.
It's really good. You know what really got to me were all those little details Espinoza uses to bring these characters to life. Like, remember those descriptions of Elena's apartment in Mexico City?
Yeah.
The thin mattress and all the sounds of the city drifting in.
I know. It's like...
You can practically feel the humidity and smell the cooking spices.
It's so real.
It is.
And then there's that little thing about Freddie's dad being obsessed with not having calluses on his hands.
Oh, right. Right.
It's like such a small detail.
Yeah.
But it tells you so much about their relationship.
It does.
And their different values.
Yeah, like what they prioritize.
Yeah, you instantly get why Freddie feels so much pressure to live up to his dad, you know?
Totally.
And the food.
Oh, the food.
The food in this book.
It's like a character itself.
It is. It's not just about eating. It's like...
It's symbolic.
It's a symbol of culture.
Culture, connection, sometimes even conflict.
Yeah, like think about Elena's meals.
Yeah, her home-cooked meals.
Versus like that greasy allure of taco macho.
Oh, yeah, good point.
It's like this whole metaphor for tradition versus assimilation.
Right. The struggle of keeping your roots while embracing a new world.
Exactly.
It's powerful stuff.
I really connected with Freddie's struggles with depression.
Oh, yeah.
After his mom dies.
Yeah.
The way Espinoza writes about those waves of sadness, like the feeling of being disconnected from your own body.
It's so raw.
It is.
Raw.
It felt so real and honest. I've never seen it written about like that before.
Me neither. Espinoza doesn't shy away from those tough emotions.
No, he doesn't.
Grief, trauma, the complexities of being a man. He explores it all.
There's so much depth.
And sensitivity.
Yeah, it's really refreshing. And it makes the characters like even more relatable.
They feel real.
Yeah, even when they're making decisions that you're like, what are you doing?
Right, even when they mess up.
Exactly. Let's talk about Julian's storyline in the present day.
Okay.
Because he makes some choices.
He does.
That are interesting. Let's just say that his work with Tim.
Oh, yeah.
It's pushing him into some ethically gray areas.
To say the least.
It is. I was like on the edge of my seat wondering how far he would go.
What lines he'd cross.
Yeah, and it makes you think about morality and survival.
Uh-huh.
Like how far would you go if you were in that situation?
Tough question.
It is. It's like Julian's story reminds us that life isn't always black and white.
Definitely. There are a lot of gray areas.
Lots of gray areas.
Oh.
So then we have this whole mystery surrounding Ernesto's friend Julian.
Oh, yeah, we haven't forgot about that.
Right. We get these glimpses of their relationship throughout the book, you know?
Like little snippets.
Yeah, a glance in a photograph, a hushed conversation in a cantina.
It's like you're putting a puzzle together, but you're missing some pieces.
Exactly. And just when you think you're starting to figure things out, Espinoza throws in another twist.
Always keeping us on our toes.
Always. What I found really interesting is how Espinoza uses this mystery to explore unspoken desires.
Oh, yeah.
And the weight of societal expectations.
That's a good point.
Like, remember Elena's observation about Julian's gaze in that one photo?
Oh, yeah, that was a powerful moment.
It was. It said so much about all the things that weren't said, you know?
The things people keep hidden.
Yeah, and how those secrets can impact families for generations.
It's a ripple effect.
It is. And then later we find out that Ernesto's friend disappeared.
Right, under mysterious circumstances.
Trying to help Nicaraguan refugees cross the border.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. It adds this whole other layer of complexity to the story.
And it kind of echoes the family's own immigration story.
Exactly. It's like a parallel.
It is. It's those layers of stories that make the Sons of El Rey so captivating.
Totally. The way Espinoza weaves the past and the present together.
It's masterful.
It is. It's like a tapestry.
It is a tapestry. And it makes you think about family and memory and the choices we make.
And the consequences of those choices.
Yes, the impact they have on others.
Yeah, we see how those choices ripple through generations.
Right, from Ernesto's decision to leave Mexico, to Freddie's struggles with his son, to Julian's choices in the present.
They're all connected.
All interconnected. It's like this chain reaction.
It is. The book makes you think about how our actions, even the small ones,
can have these big consequences.
They can. And not just for us, but for the people around us.
Exactly. And those consequences can last for years.
Years. Sometimes even generations.
Sometimes even generations.
You know what else I thought was interesting?
What's that?
The way Espinoza portrays masculinity.
Oh, yeah?
It's not just about being strong and tough. you know.
It's about more than that.
It's about this legacy of stoicism.
Right, of keeping your feelings bottled up.
Yeah, not showing weakness.
And how that can be both a strength and a burden.
It can. And it's interesting how Julian, in the present day, kind of challenges that. He's struggling. He's vulnerable.
And he's not afraid to show it.
No, he isn't. But then he's also drawn to this world of underground sex work.
Right, which is like...
It was like its own performance of masculinity.
It is.
It's just with different rules. Different rules. It's like he's stuck in this cycle trying to break free from his family's legacy, but also being pulled back into those same patterns.
It makes you wonder if we can ever really escape the past.
That's a good question.
Can we ever truly break free from who we come from?
I don't know. It's something to think about.
It is.
And I think that's part of what makes this book so powerful.
I agree.
It doesn't give you easy answers.
It doesn't tie everything up neatly with a bow.
No, it leaves you with questions. It leaves you with these complex characters.
Who are flawed.
And make mistakes.
Just like real people.
Exactly. And it reminds us that life is messy. And complicated.
There are no easy answers.
No easy answers. You know, one thing I keep thinking about is how the book doesn't try to, like, wrap everything up neatly.
Oh.
Like, there's a lot of ambiguity.
Definitely.
Which I think is what makes it so powerful.
It makes you think.
It does. Like, take the whole thing with Ernesto's friend Julian disappearing.
Right.
We never really find out what happened to him.
No, we don't.
And I think that's intentional.
I think so, too.
Like, it's how life is sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't always get the answers.
Nope. Sometimes we're just left with these, like, fragments.
Yeah.
Gaps in the story.
And we have to, like, fill in the blanks ourselves.
Exactly. We come up with our own interpretations.
And those interpretations can be influenced by so many things.
They can family stories, cultural beliefs, societal pressures.
Right. Like, think about how masculinity is portrayed in the book.
It's not just about physical strength.
No, it's like this whole unspoken code.
Right. Like a set of rules.
Yeah. About how men are supposed to behave.
Keep your emotions in check.
Don't show weakness.
Suffer in silence.
And it's fascinating how Espinoza, like, flips that on its head.
He does. Especially with Julian in the present day.
Yeah, he's like the opposite of that stoic macho stereotype.
He is. He's struggling. He's vulnerable.
And he's looking for connection.
In ways that challenge those traditional ideas of what it means to be a man.
Exactly. But then there's also the whole thing with him being drawn to the world of underground sex work.
Right, which is kind of like its own performance of masculinity in a way.
It is.
Yeah.
Just with a different set of rules.
A different state.
Yeah, and it's like he's trying to break free from his family's legacy, but he's also being pulled back into those same patterns.
Like a moth to a flame.
Yeah, it makes you think about how much of who we are is determined by where we come from.
It does nature versus nurture.
And if we can ever truly escape our past.
The big question.
I think that's what makes this book so thought-provoking, you know?
It really is.
It doesn't give you easy answers or simple solutions.
It makes you grapple with the messiness of life.
Yeah, the complexities of human nature.
And the fact that sometimes there is no right answer.
No easy answers, for sure. This book stayed with me for a while after I finished it.
Me too. It gets under your skin.
It does. I kept turning those questions over in my mind.
It's the kind of book that sparks conversations.
It is. And I think that's a sign of a really good book.
Definitely one that makes you think and feel.
Espinoza is a talented writer.
He really is. The way he creates these characters.
So real and relatable.
You can't help but care about them.
Even when they're making bad decisions.
Even when they mess up.
And his writing is just beautiful.
So evocative.
Like he paints pictures with words.
I know what you mean.
So yeah, if you're looking for a book that will stay with you.
One that will challenge you and move you.
Then I highly recommend The Sons of El Rey.
It's a story about family identity, the power of the past.
But it's also about so much more than that.
It's about what it means to be human.
To grapple with our flaws and contradictions.
To find our place in the world.
And on that note, I think we'll leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Sometimes the most powerful masks we wear are the ones we build around our own hearts.
The ones that keep us from being truly seen.
From fully embracing who we are.
So the question is,
what masks are you wearing?
And are you ready to let them go?